Hello. Yeah, we just Namaskar. Yeah, I'm here now. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, I can.
Respected professors, research scholars, and both offline and online participants, it is with great pleasure on behalf of
Yes.
ISTL, I welcome Professor G. Maheshwar, an eminent linguist who is with us today on online platform. Professor Maheshwar is a retired professor and ex-director of Center for Applied Linguistics and Translation Studies, University of Hyderabad. He has over 35 years of experience in teaching and research in various branches of linguistics. He is specialized in historical linguistics, computational linguistics, and language planning, etc. Association of India and also former president of the Linguistic Society of India. Sahitya Academy, he has been working on the issues on conservation of the endangered languages and nearly extinct language of India. With highest priority to the development of Indian languages and linguistics, he is engaged in development of machine translation system in Indian languages to enable the revolutionary changes in modern communication. Some of his important work, which are the landmark in machine translation system is a Tamil Telugu machine translation system, a Telugu morphological analyzer, building morphological analyzers and generators for Indian languages using FST. His work, A Comparative Grammar of a Gondi Dialect with a special reference to phonology and morphology, is a milestone in Gondi linguistics. Today, he will speak on the topic Current Trends in Computational Linguistics, a Revolutionary Paradigm. Now, let me invite Professor G. Maheshwar sir to deliver his presentation. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Whoever have presented a kind of introduction about me. Thank you very much. Can you see my slides? Are they visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So this is the slide about current trends in computational linguistics, a revolutionary paradigm. So I'm just trying to come out with a kind of a note on a new revolution has begun in the application of computational linguistics to language technology. Okay, so that is the main theme of the thing. And now in this, I would like to do what are the historical perspectives and what is the new revolution, right? So the revolution in language technology has not actually begun
Sir,
today or yesterday.
you have,
Can you hear me?
sir, we cannot see your slides, sir.
You can't see me.
No, no.
Can you see me? Hello?
Yes, sir, we can see you, sir, and PPT is not displayed.
PPT is not a.
No, sir, your folder is open.
That you need to open the PPT, sir. Only the files are showing
Oh,
in the folder.
Yes,
Download
sir.
folder.
Folders are open, but not PPT.
okay. Now, can you see now my PPT?
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes,
yes, sir. Now it's fine.
Now it is visible.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, good. Thank you. So this is the title, Current Trends in Computational Linguistics, a Revolutionary Paradigm. Now, I would like to show you about what are the historical perspectives about language technology in human languages. So the entire thing, it began with three different technological revolutions. The first revolution was actually the motivation behind the first revolution was giving the momentary nature of speech a permanence. So that means there was only a speech, and then people wanted to actually give it a permanence because the nature of speech is momentous. You can't actually hear it after a fraction of a moment when it was spoken. So, in order to give this momentary nature of speech a permanence, writing was invented. This is just because the fragility of speech. The speech was very momentous, so you need to invent writing. The writing required actually different tools. The tools are actually the surface where we write, like stone, metal, bark, leaves, and paper. And you need also representational issues to tackle with. For example, encoding issues like what we talked today. There were encoding issues even in the ancient days, how to represent our languages on the surface of the stone, metal, bark, and leaves. So what people thought was it can be represented in the form of sounds, in signs, or in the form of meanings as the figures. So both character kind of writing system and the pictures kind of writing system both have evolved. So this was actually anyway made the momentous nature of speech into its permanence. And the second perspective, in historical perspective, was in the medieval period, where the motivation was dissemination of information to reach out everyone. So it's not sufficient just simply making the speech into a permanence, but make it available to a large number of population, right? So it has to cross another obstacle of language. That is inventing printing technology. Here, printing technology doesn't mean today's printing, automatic printing, but it is not printing by making actually kind of seals and then pressing it on paper or cloth or certain other kind of media and then making it. So, handwritten printing and typewritten printing both have evolved one after another. That made actually information can reach out to most people of the society. And the third one that is in the modern period, the motivation was simultaneity in information and exchange. So simultaneity of information exchange was the motivation behind the modern technology, modern revolution in technology. One that is actually obtained through computational technology, the development of computational technology, and also the internet technology, that means connectivity across people, and of course, language technology associated with it. Taking from the computational technology and the internet technology, language technology has evolved. So we will actually, you can reach out by speech, you can reach out by writing, you can also reach out people sharing your material to everybody at the same moment. As I was speaking now, you are able to hear, you are able to listen and see what I have been writing and what I have written here. So this is exactly what I mean by simultaneity of speaking, writing, and sharing with the population. And also space, and means crossing the continents, crossing across the communities of different people, okay, speaking of course the same language. So here at the moment, language barrier has not yet been actually crossed. So now it is the fourth stage. A revolution in language processing has taken place. The fourth and the emerging revolution. This can be called as the fourth and the emerging revolution, where the motivation is language is a barrier and we need to neutralize the language barrier. So language itself is a barrier for us to communicate. I speak a different language, you speak a different language, you don't understand my language and I don't understand your language. But both of us actually produce information every day, and now we need to exchange this information across people, but we cannot do because there is a language barrier. So we have to cut across the language barrier by building computational models today. And now that is exactly what is actually the revolutionizing language modeling. So the computational modeling of language and building applications through language technology has brought in a new revolution in the languages. However, there is still a new revolution is awaiting. Now, see, that is exactly what I have been trying to now propose and then talk about it. Understanding the nature of language and quantification of differences or their divergence is one of the mainstays here today. Natural languages differ in various ways. These differences become apparent when translated. The distance between the source language text and the target language text is a measure of the translational divergence between the two languages. So the distance between the source language and the target language is measured through the translational divergence between the two languages. This can be shown as in the following diagram. Can you see the diagram? There is a source language on the left hand side, and there is a target language on the right hand side, and there is a kind of triangular kind of thing. What we expected was when you translate, the source language text is translated into the target language. However, we don't reach out target language. What we reach out is, what we produce is target language with an apostrophe or a comma or the quote mark. TL with a quote mark is actually the one we have arrived at by translating the source language text. That means it is not exactly the same. So there is a gap between the target language that is intended and the target language that is arrived at. So the difference between the target language intended and the target language arrived at is the linguistic difference that is called as the divergence between the two languages, the source language and the target language. And now this has to be neutralized. So that is the mainstay of our thing. So now the next stage. Now, why is that kind of divergence is there between two natural languages? Because languages don't encode the same information in the same way in two different languages. So languages have a choice the way they wanted to encode information in the languages. So this results in numerous rules and patterns that are required across different languages. So there are numerous rules are there and numerous patterns will be available. And then you have, of course, lexicon, right? They encode information. And then, of course, phonological rules, morphological rules, syntactic rules, and the interpretive rules of semantics and pragmatics. So there's a large number of rules and patterns come into way in actually translating from one language to another language or understanding one language into another language. So now how to overcome this? So issues in natural language descriptions include rule-based descriptions versus pattern-based descriptions. Now, of course, we have been doing it for thousands of years, rule-based descriptions. So in the sense that we have a set of vocabulary, and this set of vocabulary are actually operated upon by a set of rule-based descriptions of the language in morphology, in phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, and etc., and pragmatics, and of course, all the rules that are actually sensitive to many, like cultural and the sociological contexts, right? So these rule-based descriptions are there. Today we are trying to tackle languages with these things by writing grammatical descriptions, like what we call them as grammars or grammatical descriptions of natural languages. Now, against this, we have pattern-based descriptions. Huge amounts of database was actually studied and then described for the patterns, various patterns, numerous patterns that are available in the numerous languages. Now we actually put these rule-based descriptions versus the pattern-based descriptions. However, we know from thousands of years of our experience in grammar writing where rules leak. All the rules leak. Every rule will leak as much as possible. But we are trying to reproduce and close these leaks by inventing new rules, formulating new rules, sub rules. That is how actually most of you are familiar with the historical descriptions where neo grammarians have actually come up with, for every failure of a rule, for every exception to a rule, you have to discover another rule. So you need to discover a new rule in order to block the leak of a rule. So that means no rule which is proposed by any grammarian ever stop becoming a leak rule. So that means rules continuously leak in the sense that the rules formulation is not 100%. So for a small percentage, we need to propose another rule. So this is a continuous process. So that means most of the linguistic descriptions, most of the grammatical descriptions always leak, and now you need to actually come up with the kind, or you encounter numerous exceptions while you translate from one language to another language by machine. So the machine output always actually filtered the proper translation. So somewhere we fail morphological processing, somewhere we fail grammatical or linguistic syntactic processing, somewhere we fail to get appropriate semantic selection. So now the question is whether these computational modeling should be switched to the rule-based descriptions or should actually access the pattern-based description. So this is how now we have a kind of a problem before us. Now, how to quantify this kind of divergence in natural languages? Because if the divergence is very little, we can try a different model. If the divergence is a very huge, and now we need to have different parameter in actually accessing information from source language to the target language. So divergence between a pair of languages can be displayed as a spectrum, the broad range of variation in linguistic attributes between any pair of languages. So this linguistic divergence spectrum must be the one that actually resolves our problem. That means we can focus on that spectrum, the divergence spectrum, and spend more and more energies and then apply our new ways of actually dealing with the problem. So the divergence spectrum readily reveals what is to be focused on language, in language learning, in language teaching, and also language translation. The nature of natural language. All languages are equally complex, if not simple, equally powerful, and equipped to serve any task. They grow as much as you wish to use. They are flexible as much as you want to bend them. However, the range of that flexibility is arrived at by native speakers. So it is difficult, it's very difficult to build into the rule-based grammatical descriptions. Now, this is because there is no fixed lexicon for any natural language, means new lexicon are automatically generated, new lexicon are actually developed by the native speakers. And the lexicon is really infinite in its size. No fixed structure and no fixed meanings of words. Rules are often written with exceptions and the process are indeterminate. Yet, coverage is extensible. The range of interpretation is up to the interlocutors, right? That means the context of the language in use is most important. And the word and the sentence formation processes are highly individualistic. So it is not just simply can be tackled by the grammarian who has actually invented or actually developed the grammar by formulating numerous rules on the lexicon. And the choice of words in a sentence are determined by the audience and the readership. Yet, the members of the speech community speak and understand each other, right? Now, this has to be still tackled by the motivation of computational description of natural language. How is it done? In a democratic setup, the mother tongue is on board. There shall be none who would be forced to learn a language, and that is not his or her own. Universalization of education demands actually the mother tongue, and the era of the internet actually allows anybody to write in his own speech, in his own mother tongue. The power of computing technology gives and equips that particular language, and the advent of artificial intelligence enables one to speak in his or her chosen language, and the hearer and the reader would listen and read in his or her own chosen language. That means every language speaker would like to use his language, and then computational modeling is required to be okay, to enable these languages and continuously, seamlessly access information from these languages into other languages. And these and certain language epithet that we see, certain languages are global languages, and certain languages are international languages, and certain languages are linked languages, and languages of science, technology, and business, etc., display anti-democratic attitudes of the people who call these things and who classify certain languages as global and international link, and then languages of technology, science, and business, etc. So these are undemocratic attitudes because the computational modeling of languages must equip each and every language and enable people to access information, whatever it is available in these languages. So no language is less than a global language, no language is an international language, no language is a linked language. All languages are global languages, all languages can be international languages, all languages can be linked languages, and languages of science, technology, and business. That is the one we will call it as a democratic attitude, okay, in the computational modeling of languages. And they are not due to these kind of classifications are not due to inherent quality of languages. We can't call it a global language, certain language as a global language because there is an inherent quality associated with the language. No such thing. All languages are inherently having the same kind of descriptional capabilities. And certain speech, we call certain languages global languages today, we call certain languages international languages today because these speech communities, the speakers of these communities of these languages in the past have led aggressive policies, waged wars, proven hegemonistic attitudes, organized invasions, killing people, occupying their lands, and subjugating the other communities, and finally usurping the domains of use of languages of those communities. That means not only the people have colonized the language, colonized the communities and their language and their areas and their countries, but they have also colonized their speeches. And now, with the advent of the new technology, the new technology in the name of machine learning and assisted by artificial intelligence, we can actually develop fully automatic, general purpose, real time, speech to speech, machine translating systems. And these things will do away with the notion of the best or the scientific language from the colonial minds. So there is nothing like a best language or a scientific language. All languages are equally suitable for accessing information and then actually encoding information. And now, how to implement such systems? So, using the computational paradigm, computational modeling for natural languages, and the computational techniques and tools. In the advent of computational linguistics, natural language analysis and synthesis need to be done. And then these revolutionary trends, the existing trends in modeling natural languages through rule formulation proved to be extremely difficult, time consuming, and expensive, right? Means the rule formulation that we have been actually doing right as part of the grammatical descriptional exercises is found to be extremely difficult now to formulate computational modeling, to develop computational modeling. And then it is extremely time consuming and very expensive. So machines requiring the learnability criterion left behind the desired goal, because no machine, whatever the way you formulate your rules, they will not be able to tackle coming with a language modeling, that is by computational modeling, because machines lack learnability criterion. No life form, of course, other than the human beings, can learn a language. Similarly, no human being other than actually human beings, that means no machine can ever learn a language, right? So since machines lack learnability criterion, they can never actually replace a human being. So actually, if you want to computational model, if you want to develop a computational model by simulating natural language functions by human being, by computational modeling, you have to have learnability criterion. Now, since machines cannot have learnability criterion, you have to have a way to overcome this language, the learnability criterion. How do we come up with the overcoming with the learnability criterion? By the invention of machine learning techniques. The machine learning techniques can overcome the learnability criterion that has the revolutionized concept of language technology. That means machine learning techniques that can overcome the learnability criterion. And now this revolutionized concepts of language technology, new concept of language technology. The advent of artificial intelligence that has greatly paved the way to achieve the goals of language technology. That means machine learning techniques and the artificial intelligence together can actually overcome the learnability criterion. Now, this is achieved this can actually, the continued efforts in language technology, aided by machine learning and artificial intelligence, have primarily paved the way to overcoming the language barrier. Language processing tools that analyze and generate various linguistic modules, namely morphological analyzers, part-of-speech taggers, parsers, and generators, have largely enabled the simulation of human language processing by machines. Look at this slide. Tools that simulate natural language. For example, coming with the source language text, the source language text can be in the phonetic form, or in the phonemic form, or it can be written text like an orthographic form. All the three kinds of these language, source language, can be reduced to the morphological analysis by a morphological analyzer assisted by part speech tagger and also local word grouper that result into an input into a parser, that is a full-fledged syntactic parser. And this syntactic parser takes information from these three: local word grouping, morphological analysis, and part of speech tagging information, and then gives out lexical substitution, means input for lexical substitution, input for divergence grammar, and then word sense disambiguation modules. And these three actually result in, okay, as input into word generation and sentence generation. The word generation and sentence generation in combination result in target language text. Now, in order to get into all these modules function in a full-fledged form in a 100% way, we need a different picture. That is actually involving speech processing and, of course, various physical aspects of language, that is actually automatic recognition of speech in terms of discrete phonemic segments, orthographic representations of phonematic units, and also convert this text into speech. So speech to text and text to speech both are required. Sorry. In this, okay, sounds tend to be modified in significant ways when you speech process. Okay, lots of sounds are not exactly the way we write in the text, as in orthographic model or in the phonemic model. So the text has to be processed in an allomorphic text, needs to be processed. So all this is in the phonetic form, and all these things, of course, most of you know what to be processed in the speech processing, because the sounds tend to slur into insignificant variations, numerous variations. The sounds tend to change due to non-phonetic factors by linguistic and non-linguistic and grammatical and semantic and pragmatic and other kinds of augmentations. And then sounds tend to be affected by non-discrete units like stress, speech duration, and other intonation patterns, etc., etc. And of course, you can see this one, how really sounds look like when they are actually in the spoken form. So on the left side, under the phonemic string, you can see how it looks like. Okay. However, on the orthographic string, they are different things. So the good candy came anyways is actually when I utter, it is the same thing. However, when it is written, it is understood in two different ways. So this kind of thing, the speech is written with so much of ambiguity. And then when you convert into orthographic strings or in the phonemic strings, they have to be taken care of this ambiguity. Okay. Now, just move to the next slide. The next afterwards, it requires morphological modeling. So once you convert the string into either into text or the phonemic form, you require morphological modeling should come into picture. Morphological modeling of a natural language, where every word is actually analyzed or generated as it is required. If the text is in input, then you require analyze it, and then actually produce the morphological information by using word analyzers. But if you want to text generate it, you can generate or synthesize words. So both morphological modeling involves word processors as well as word analyzers, actually. Yes. Now, afterwards, this morphological modeling now gets into the syntactic modeling, where computational syntactic models are actually introduced, where computational modeling of text takes place, where the syntactic structures are actually given out in the form of parser speech taggers, shallow parsers, and also syntactic parsers. These three things give out actually the entire syntactic analysis of the sentences of the text. Now, once this is done, we need to do actually a lot of corpora analysis. It is not enough actually to analyze the text in terms of syntactic analysis, but you miss out a lot of context. So instead, actually, you need to access entire corpora of the languages. So instead of actually studying individual syntactic structures and the syntactic constructions, you need to analyze corpus as a kind of unified discourse analysis. Okay, the entire sentences in the corpora need to be analyzed, and the context must be recognized and then stored as information about the context. So the corpus as a basis for computational linguistics is the latest trend. It is not individual sentences. It is not actually the syntactic analysis of individual sentences that are actually what we have formulated as grammatical rules, like phonematic context size, S is equal to NPVP, like language earlier syntactic modules, right? Recognizing syntactic structures. That's not just simply enough. No, we need to actually analyze the languages in the context of huge syntactic structures. That means running text of millions of sentences. So you need to analyze these millions of sentences in their context as the computational modeling of huge corpora. So you need to build a corpus, and these corpora need to be analyzed. You need to be studied for the patterns of this corpora. So we need digital corpora, and these digital corpora require them to be annotated. So we need to obtain annotated corpora, and these annotated corpora need to be studied for the application of these corpora in order to build various linguistic actually applications. For example, if you study language corpora, you will understand actually how different languages behave differently in encoding their grammars, right? At the morphological level, at the word level, at the syntactic level, or at the different levels. So take a look at this kind of thing. For example, frequency of word types and their cumulative coverages in the corpora of Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, Tamil, Marathi, Odia, Bangla, Hindi, Punjabi, etc., etc. Okay, so in this corpora, corpora analyzed, taking corpora from earlier, it was built by CL Mysore, and this corpora for these 8 languages actually analyzed, and on the extreme left column we see percentage of coverage in each language, and then finally at the end, okay, we see 10% of coverage of each of these languages require 63 words in Telugu, 54 words in Malayalam, 34 words in Kannada, 59 words in Tamil, and 16 words in Marathi, 17 words in Bengali, 20 words in Odia, and 4 words in Hindi, 5 words in Punjabi. That means smaller number of words, means few words occur many more times with a huge percentage of frequency in Punjabi, Hindi, Odia, Bengali, in that order. And as you come towards the Dravidian languages, the number of the frequencies will reduce, the word frequencies reduce, but number of words increase. That means there's a higher frequencies in Punjabi, Hindi, Odia means actually lesser number of words. That means shallow morphology. That means fewer number of morphological variants are available in Hindi, Punjabi, Odia, and Bengali, Marathi, and so on. So there is a increasing morphology or morphological complexity from right end to the left end. That means more complex morphology is found in Telugu, and less complex and less and less and lesser complex as you travel towards Hindi and Punjabi. So this is how we require the 20% coverage requires 293 words in Telugu, 335 words in Malayalam, and then of course lesser and lesser number. So if I go to about 60% coverage of the entire language, that requires 13,000 words in Telugu, 21,000 words in Malayalam, 8,000 words in Kannada, and 8,000, roughly 9,000 words in Tamil, but only 1,000 words in Marathi and another 1,000 in Odia, but only 400 words in Hindi and 500 words in Punjabi. If I want to go get 90% coverage in a given language, I require in Telugu 257,000 words to cover 90% of the language, and 295,000 words in Malayalam if you want to cover 90% of the language, and I need 162,000 words in Kannada if you want to cover 90% of the language, and I require in Marathi just 51,000 words, in Bangla 25,000 words, in Odia 26,000 words, in Hindi and Punjabi just 8,000 or 9,000 words and 11,000 words to get a coverage of 90% of the entire language. So if in order to get in this corpus, the study corpus that we have done, about 3 million words length corpus of running text, you need, if you want to cover 100% of the language, you need almost roughly over 5 lakh words. Really, that is actually 5 lakh word forms in Telugu, 5 lakh word forms in Malayalam, roughly 5 lakh words in Kannada, and 4.5 lakh words in Tamil, and only 2 lakh words in Marathi, and 1.5 lakh words in Bangla, almost 2 lakh words in Odia, but only 1 lakh words in Hindi and Punjabi. So this shows that there is more complexity of word forms in Dravidian languages and less complexity of morphology in North Indian language, that is Indo-Aryan languages. So that means one has to focus on this complexity of morphology and its compensatory compensating in syntax and other modules of the grammar. So that is how actually, in order to really write morphological rules, it's extremely difficult because these rules that have written to gather and to cater to the needs of this complex morphology will fail every end. So there will be kind of unrecognized words. So most of the morphological analysis would fail inevitably in Telugu, Malayalam, and Kannada. Maybe they will do better performance in case of Odia, Hindi, and Punjabi kind of things. So to overcome this kind of complexity, either with the morphological complexity or with the syntactic complexity, we need to tackle the languages by actually involving huge amounts of corpus with the models like this. Annotated corpora and the digital corpora. And these corpora are annotated to come out with the things like, okay. Like this. So in a sentence, okay, for example, if I want to deal with the huge amounts of corpora, every sentence must be actually annotated. It is annotated. Actually, let us look at here. There is a single sentence drawn from the entire raw corpus, and the raw corpus sentence looks like this. And when it is actually converted into phonemic annotation, so it looks like this. I did get it from him. So for such a sentence of English, this is converted into its a phonemic form as in the following, in a kind of angular bracketed form. The phonemic forms are there, and this that means the raw sentence extracted from the raw corpus looks like this, and then it's immediately it's a phonemic forms are given, and this phonemic form when it actually can be substituted by the morphological annotation. So it looks like this. So we have person pronoun, that is I is a personal pronoun in first person singular. Did is actually a kind of verb in auxiliary in the past tense. Get is actually verb main in the infinitive form, and a is a determiner in the indefinite form, and the next word in the postcard actually, oh, I did get it. Oh, it is actually now replaced by a kind of postcard word, or somehow in the writing the example I didn't replace it. And the postcard, which is actually noun in singular, and from is a preposition. Him is a personal pronoun in third person masculine singular, and it is ended with a dot, which is actually a punctuational mark. Now this is actually now converted into its syntactic annotation. So this sentence now its entirety in both morphological and syntactic annotation combined would give you actually this structure. A sentence now with the subject, which is an NP, which is actually having first person singular I form. Now it is followed by a predicate, that is the VP form, and which contains a did, and of course it's a morphological annotation with its past tense be args, and of course with the verb main followed by a direct object, which is an NP, followed by a determiner, and of course a noun singular, and the adverb. The adverb is actually the direct object, right? Which is and it is prepositional form. It is in the prepositional phrase, right? That is actually given it him as from him. So as you can see in the raw corpus sentence, from him is actually prepositional pronominal form in the third person masculine singular personal pronoun him, which is actually followed by the dot, that is the punctuated marks. So that is how every sentence in the digital corpus is annotated for its a phonemic form as well as its a morphological annotation and its a syntactic annotation. And now this can be further annotated with the semantic annotation. So this entirely, all the raw corpus which is in the digital form shall be converted into or enriched with morphological, syntactic, and the semantic information, and then probably it can be followed by another information, probably enriched by various kinds of information. So huge corpora of this kind, billions of word length, huge corpora, annotated like this, given to the machine, and the machines which learn from it, and these learned machines will be assisted by artificial intelligence, and then that would actually, which is machine learned corpus, actually learn this from the machines and then store it as a patterns. So these patterns are actually stored, and these patterns try to learn, unlike in the olden times of computational modeling where things are actually from source language to the target language where using the direct approach. And in later on, in the later computational times, it is actually by transferring information from the source syntax to the target syntax, you get the information, and then of course you generate target language text. Whereas the other kinds of things, the interlingua models, so the source text is analyzed to at the level of syntax, and then the information is stored as the language free information, and this language free information is actually converted into the target language syntax, and the finally target language text is actually generated. Now this entire analysis and the entire actually language text generation is done through the accessing information from the patterns which are available by the enriched annotated corpus, and that is done through the corpora in this model by the machines. And of course, now of course this the remaining thing that I won't read because I'm running out of time, so I will close it here. And now what we have been doing it is actually using Indian language technology. That should be actually done rather than actually rule building. We should do it by accessing information, the enriched corpora, enriched digital corpora through the machine learning techniques assisted by artificial intelligence. You can actually build what you call actually today language, actually language based machine, means huge language based machine translating systems using actually language learning techniques, machine language learning techniques, and artificial intelligence. You can actually get better language outputs. Thank you very much. I would actually close it here because I'm running out of time. Thank you very much. Yeah, I have other slides. I will not get into these things because actually there's not much importance here. Okay, whatever I wanted to present, now I have presented it. If you have any, just one or two questions, please. Okay, I can accept. Thank you very much. Yes. Hello. Hello. Yes, I'm done with. I completed my presentation.
Hello, Professor.
Yes.
Maheshwar
Thank you. Yes.
and Rajeshekar Nair.
Yeah, welcome, sir. Thank you very much for chairing the session.
I have two small questions.
Yes, please.
What do you mean by rules leak, and which way it affects the language translation?
Yes, every rule that you formulate, it leaks. For example, in the world, you must have heard it in the historical grammars. Werner has proposed a rule as an exception. People earlier, Brugman has actually proposed Mater would become, okay, Mataram become Mater, father becomes actually, Pater will become father. Yes, P becomes F, M remains as it, but initial T or PTK would become Fatha, right? PTK, a Proto-Indo-European, will become Fatha. However, what has happened in the examples in English, okay, sometimes this tha becomes a the. Why it has become the? Because there is actually a stress in the initial position. Stress initial position before the tha. So the tha, which is preceded by stress, hasn't become tha. Rather, it became the. That is why it is actually brother instead of brother. So this kind of rule leakage, every rule will have an exception. And now exceptions must be dealt with by formulating another rule. And now that rule will not function as 100%. So somebody would discover an exception. And again, another person has to formulate a new rule. So the rules actually keep on leaking, and linguists will trying, creating another rule. So this is what we call as exceptions to the rules, and the rules will keep on leaking. Instead of actually using this rule-based machine techniques, we need to actually use patterns, recognizing numerous patterns in the languages, and these patterns, of course, don't leak because we have already recognized a pattern. A pattern is a pattern, always a pattern. These things will not leak. So machine will find out what is this pattern, how to actually convert this pattern into an acceptable pattern in the target language. Right.
Okay, my second question will be,
Yes.
somewhere you said all languages are global languages. Can you elaborate?
Yes. So see, today we call English is the global language, French is a global language, or German or Spanish is a global language. These things are based on, these languages are represented in different continents. Okay, that's why we call them as global languages. But don't you have Tamil speakers in different continents? Don't you have Telugu speakers in different continents today? They have gone as migrants, right? Earlier, those colonial people have come and then killed people, local people, occupied their lands, and thrusted their languages on the local languages, and then developed colonial languages. And since the colonial languages have become the native languages, something like native languages, not really native languages, second languages, the learned languages, people call them as global languages. Instead, today, with the advent of language technology, every language can be a global language. Wherever a person is there as a migrant in different continents, he can actually use language technology, access information in his language, or actually transfer information from his language to another language. So this language technology enables every language as a global language, every language to function as an international language. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So can I? It's done. Any questions?
Question from online audience. Hello.
Hello.
Any question from online audience? I think no question.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you, sir?
Yeah, fine, very fine. We
Yeah.
have
Thank
listened
you.
to the very informative lecture
Yes.
from you regarding language technology and how this technology is used in analyzing the enriched annotated corpora, etc., and how it has contributed to the modern concept of language having a universal status. Almost all
Yeah.
the languages having a universal status, as we cannot recognize any language as global or international or local, something
Yeah.
like that.
We shall not
So,
recognize. Yes.
yeah, definitely, it has been a very rich experience listening to you, especially for scholars who are just focusing on language technology and machine learning and all these things. And definitely, we feel that this 2 day symposium on modern trends in linguistics has been making its success by listening to very informative speeches like this. On behalf of ISDL and on my personal behalf, we extend our sincere gratitude to you for this wonderful presentation, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, next session will start by 3:15. We will have a short break and we will go to the next session. Thank you very much. Excuse me. Excuse me, there is a. Yeah. Is Dr. Vijayan available, Dr. N. Vijayan?
Yes, sir. I'm here, sir.
I think there is no need of a break here now. We can go to the next session if it is convenient to you, sir.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Okay.
I'm ready, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
It is a great honor and privilege that on behalf of ISDL, I welcome Dr. N. Vijayan today. He has been teaching linguistics in the Department of Linguistics, Bharatiya University, Coimbatore, for the past 7 years. In addition, he has 15 plus years of research experience. He has published more than 25 research articles in reputed international and national journals and 5 book chapters. He has also co-authored 2 books, one in tribal studies and another in corpus linguistics. He has been recognized and honored by Bharatiya University for copyright registered in the year 2021. His specializations are in foreign linguistics and tribal or field linguistics. He has also undertaken 2 research projects sponsored by the RUSA and 1 minor research project sponsored by ICSSR India. Further, he is an editor of 3 reputed international journals. He has also extended his expertise to crime branch, crime investigation, Department CID, Coimbatore range in an authorship identification case. Besides this, he is acting as a member and chairperson in different academic bodies. As a leading expert in forensic linguistics, Dr. N. Vijayan brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise that enrich our gathering today. Without any further delay, let me extend a warm welcome to Dr. N. Vijayan to share his insightful presentation titled Language of Deception with us. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, am I audible?
Yes, audible. Yes, Vijayan, I did.
Share my slides. I hope the slides are visible.
Go to full screen.
Full screen, it cannot be managed, I think so, sir. So I'll better have this one.
Okay.
So good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Panikar sir and the ISDL for giving me this opportunity. And my apologies that I couldn't make in person to this program. So today I'll be talking about language of deception mainly, and I'll be talking.
Sir, excuse me, sir, can you make it full screen so that it will be easy to watch?
Full screen. I'll make it. Is it okay now? Is it visible?
Please slide. Please slide.
Slide only. No.
Is the slides moving now?
No, sir,
Not moving.
not moving, not moving.
Sir, please slide show.
Yeah, I have put it on slideshow,
Yes.
but when I change the slides, it's not changing.
No, you please share again.
Is it changing now?
Now okay. Fine.
Okay, now the slides are changing, right?
Changing, yes. Yes.
Okay, fine. So today I'll be talking about language of deception, mainly about the strategies and characteristics of deception, how it is being used, or how language is being used in a deceptive communication. So, or we can say that how the perpetrators are trying to deceive their victims through language. There are so many other ways of deception, but I'll be concentrating only upon the language use. As we know that yesterday, I think we had a talk on lying by
Sir, can you
Professor Ravishankar Nair sir. It is almost a little bit similar, but totally different from what Sarah's talked. So let me talk about what deception is. And I would say that lying is a part of deception. It cannot be totally deception, but it is part or it is a strategy of deception. So now what is deception? Deception involves intentionally misleading others by presenting false information, omitting important information, or manipulating the truth to achieve a specific goal. This is the general definition of deception. But there are two, when we are talking about forensic linguistics or deception, we have to look into the definitions by the legal point also. So there are two things. That is, deception is the act of deliberately causing somebody to accept something as a true that is not true. And the main definition would be it is defined as the act of intentionally misleading others for personal gain, and this is the main point for legal, which can have legal implications, especially in case of fraud or deceit. So this is what deception actually means, or the definition by the law. That is, it should have some kind of legal implications. Then only it will be considered as a case in the court. So next, we can divide this deception into two types. That is, one is positive and another one is negative. And here, when I speak about the types of deception, when I say positive and negative, there may be a question that raises that how can deception be positive? When someone is being deceived, how can it be possibly a positive one? So here are the definitions for positive and the negative one. Positive deception is made by the deceiver to educate, motivate, and to inspire the receiver and to create a positive attitude. That is positive deception. To a certain extent, I can say that self-deceiving, like is also a positive way of deception. That is, we know that. Let's take an example that we know that we cannot achieve certain things, but inside us, we will be motivating ourselves that we can do it. I can achieve it. This is some kind of deceiving ourselves. This is a self-deceiving, which can be considered as a positive one. And the negative is deceptions are made intentionally by the sender who know that they are false and want the receiver to believe and act according to the false conclusion. And mainly, as I said, about the definition, legal definition of deception, it should have some kind of legal implications. Then we can say that it is a negative deception. So here is an example of a positive deception. This is a riddle in Tamil. Oduvan, Aduvan, Ottikalil Nirpan, Avaniyar. Just forget about the meaning at all. And another one is second one is about an advertisement, which is also some kind of riddle. That is, 10 ரூபாய்க்கு 3 வேளைக்கான குவான்டிட்டி ருசியா கமகமன்னு ரெடி. அது என்னவா இருக்கும்? வாட்னு தெரிந்தால் வாட்ஸ்அப் பண்ணுங்க, பரிசு வெல்லுங்க. So here you have the riddles make the receiver or the audience to think and use their they make the mind squeeze and think about it. These type of riddles actually misleads the reader or hearer and makes them to think of alternative answers. The language used over here is deceptive, but to find out the answer one has to think a lot. So there is an positive attitude to the readers. So we can consider this as a positive one. And as I am talking about the advertisement, I can also quote some of the advertisements over here, like the Fair and Lovely, where people say that, or the advertisements, the company says that if you use the cream, you will become fairer. It is not possible, only to a certain extent, but they have some conditions for that. So that is also a deception, as well as in the previous some years back, we had this body spray, that is Axe, the company's Axe, where when a man sprays the body spray, too many women or girls will come together and will be surrounding him. So it is a deceptive way. But the thing is that they would have given a star and a condition in the end of the thing, where you can't even read that, which says that this is only an imitation, not an actual one. Actually, at the time in 90s, I think so, 90s or 2000s, a person actually sued the company, saying that even I used Axe, but none of them came to me. This was the case over there, but because there was some kind of conditions, the case was dismissed. So these type of things which doesn't have any legal implications or which doesn't draw any kind of cases are considered as positive one. So why do they deceive? So here, Popper and Bergen suggested three taxonomies to discern different deceptive reasons. One is instrumental, which is used, the deception is used as an instrument. It is to avoid punishment or to protect resources. And next one is relational, where it is to maintain relations with an individual or for any kind of bonds between and like authoritative people also. And identity, that is to preserve our face or our self-image we may see. These are the three taxonomies why suggested by Popper and Berger, that these three things mainly the deceivers use to do it or to gain something out of it. That is the main reasons why people deceive. Okay, next one is detection of deceptions. How these investigating departments or the police departments, how they detect deception. Till now, these are the three tests they are using to detect deceptions. One is polygraphy test, brain mapping test, and narco analysis test. We have seen all these in the movies, and we have read also about polygraphy test, brain mapping, and narco analysis. That is, polygraphy test is to measure a person's heart rate, blood pressure, respiration, and skin conductivity. These all gets changed when a person tries to hide something. I'm not saying when a person tries to lie. Lie is something different. Even when a person tries to lie also, the heart rate, the blood pressure, respiration, as well as the skin condition will change. As well as when you try to conceal certain informations also, these type of things will happen. So using this polygraphy test, they try to prove whether the person has committed the crime or not. As well as in the brain mapping test, it measures the changes in the electric field potentially produced by some of our neurons activity in our brains. So it changes. So that is when you try to deceive or when you try to hide something, it gives some kind of electrical changes will happen. So the next one is analysis test, which involves injecting some narcotic drugs into the body of the accused. That is certain chemicals such as sodium pentothal and etc. These type of things, what happens is that when it is being injected into the vein, these people go into a stage of subconsciousness. That is between conscious and the unconsciousness. In between, they will go to the subconscious state, and where these persons are they can reveal certain things which they won't reveal when they are conscious. These stuffs will make you go into some kind of anesthetic stage and make you talk, and it will also give you you will also talk about the fantasies and the things which you are trying to conceal from others. All the things will be spoken there, but these are not being used in today's law. I can say that they are using to certain extent, but it is not admissible now. Why? Because of the Article 20, subclause 3, and Article 21 of Constitution of India, where um, Article 20, subclause 3 of Constitution, which says right against self-incrimination. That is, no person accused of offense shall be compelled to become a witness against himself or herself. So you cannot compel a person who has been accused to be a witness against himself and make him confess that he has uh, committed that crime. And Article 21, it is the right to life and personal liberty, which has been judicially expanded or explained as right against cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment. So all these tests says that it is cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. But the police department or the investigating department, they try to say that it is better than the third degree treatment. But because it violates the fundamental rights of a person, these tests have been put aside and said that it shouldn't be used on any persons. It was after a case that is Selvi versus the state of Karnataka, that case. After that, it was said that these tests shouldn't be used. That is, without the concern of that accused, these tests shouldn't be taken. But fortunately or unfortunately, I can say that still the investigating departments, they try to use these tests, and how they are using is something what to say, it is dramatic, I could say, that they ask these accused whom they are targeting. With them, there will be 3 or 4 accused from other cases who are very much close to the police department, and they will line up and they will ask whether you are ready to take up these tests. And all the other, except the target, they will ask the first persons, the other persons, whether you are ready to take. All the persons will say, yes, I am ready to take. This person who has been targeted by the police or the investigating department, he cannot say no. If he says no, then why you are saying no, there will be a question. So he will also agree, and that is the real. Then he would have given some concern that will go under these tests. Then they will try to use these tests. Nowadays, that is what they are doing. But the thing is that even the police department, they know that these tests are not admissible or it cannot be used as an evidence in the court, because whatever confessional statements is being given, it has to be given in the presence of a magistrate. So these tests are not taken in front of a magistrate. That is district magistrate. It can be a judge or a collector also. But what is the use of getting these informations is that they can provide or they can get some kind of clues to proceed their investigation further. So this is how they will be trying to get. So how are we going to detect deception if we are not going to use these tests? So here comes the role of linguistics or linguists. We all know that linguistics gives a better understanding to the structure and nature of language. And we also understand that when we talk about legal issues and language, we always focus upon the applied linguistics called forensic linguistics, which takes the knowledge, method, and insights and applies it to the forensic context for investigation, trial, and as well as for sentencing the accused. So here, how the forensic linguist or a linguist analyze the features or how he takes the linguistic features are some of the features like vocabulary choices, sentence structures or patterns, discourse patterns, speech patterns. These kind of patterns will be taken to find out any kind of signs of deceptions. To substantiate how we can or how the linguist or linguistics can help in detecting deception, I have taken certain cases out of the cybercrime, mainly the stalking. I think we all know what is cybercrime. That is any form of crime that happens in cyber world or cyberspace using internet or any technology. That is cybercrime. The crimes that happens over there. And stalking refers to the repeated and unwanted pursuit or harassment of another person that is causing them fear, distress, or concern for their safety. And this the kind of stalking is also being done in the cyberspace, which is called as cyber stalking. Cyber stalking refers to the act of obsessively or intrusively monitoring or pursuing someone online, often without their consent. Stalking is always without their consent. When they are not interested in some kind of talk, you will be the person, the accused or the perpetrator will always try to force you into something, to talk with you. This is cyber stalking. So how this is being used in cyber stalking is using the various digital platforms and technologies, mainly to gather informations about an individual, tracking their online activities, and invade their privacy. All these things happens in all the social media which we are using day to day. We are very much into this social media, and even you could have experienced stalking, but there are so many different types of stalking, and even we are being stalked. Each and every person is being stalked without knowing that it is a stalking. Social media platform like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and many other messaging apps like WhatsApp, SMS, emails, and online forums, and even the what search engines like Google, Yahoo, etc. Even through those things, also a person can be stalked. So, as I said that I try to substantiate how linguistics helps in detecting deception. I've used some examples from real-time, real cases. I mean, from the cybercrime. And these are some of the, as we talk about language or linguistics, we have to know what kind of language we use to create or what it contains. A deceptive language contains. It contains lot of cognitive load, cheating is there, diverting mind, attracting with fascinating words, tempting is there, luring, inciting, fraud, etc. There are so many tactics which is being involved in language use. So here I am taking a small example of luring. That is, these are some of the SMS we get or we got previously. I'm not sure whether we are still getting these type of messages. Certainly, we are getting certain messages like the play rummy and all. If you see that these are some of the messages we have got in our mobile, this is some kind of stalking, like luring. That is the words of luring. You can just see Hollywood models waiting for you. Click now. And you are selected to get 3 crores, 35 lakhs, and a car in BMW promo to receive, send your name, mobile. And these are all deceiving and to get information about your personal things. And play rummy free for 5,000 as a welcome bonus. Everything is some kind of deceiving or alluring technology to pull you into deceiving you. Next, if you see that, hi dear, I'm waiting for your call. I want to talk to you. I miss you. I missed you too. I know you want to say something. All these type of things are some kind of luring. And in these kind of luring texts, you can see the tactics, how they are being used. For example, call not by name, but by the mobile number. They never use the personal names over there. That is, we can presume here that it can be sent to multiple mobile numbers. So they won't call you by name. And there is also some kind of assurance for material benefits. They will give you some kind of assurance and invite to chat with unknown persons and lure you by saying they are waiting for you, missing you, only for you, etc., which the youngsters are very much will be lured into it. And use of capital letters to emphasize certain points, attract by words which are so friendly. And here are some other tactics, like use of some famous or leading actresses name with hot videos, etc., will be given. Then use of adjectives plus nouns such as hot scenes, uncut videos, use of encouraging words, and welcome bonus, and messages repeated almost every day or every week you will be getting until you get into the trap. So these type of tactics are being used in SMS to lure the audience or the users. So, as my topic is about the strategies, these are some of the strategies. I'm going to talk about the strategies over here. And if you see that the SMS language, most of the time the victims are the target group of these perpetrators are male. They are talking about the female, they are talking about the money, they're talking about the gambling, and most of the time the men are the target group. But it doesn't mean that they're not going to send it to the female. It doesn't, they do not know whether the mobile number who is holding that mobile number is a male or female, but it is a random that they will be sending to everyone. But the target group is always the male over here in SMS, these type of luring things. Okay, deceptive strategies. What does deceptive strategies mean is to people try to employ these type of strategies to manipulate, mislead, or obfuscate information in communication or in a conversation. As I said that, as we discussed in the previous slides, that these tactics can be used in a variety of settings, including interpersonal communication, politics, even advertisement. As I said that even advertisement is being used, faking people or deceiving people, and in journalism too. Journalism, not the mainstream. Mainstream is also using, but the social media nowadays we talk a lot about social media, the journalism over there, which is not a pure journalism, but even there, people are being deceived. So here is some of the strategies employed by stalkers, cyber stalkers. Mainly, I'm talking about cyber stalkers, and there are multiple stalking ways of stalking. There are some types which, such as sexual intimacy stalking, intimacy seeking stalking, information gathering stalking, etc. And there are more. Resentful stalker is there, predatory stalker is there. There are so many types of stalker, and I'll be talking. I have taken examples from three of them. That is sexual intimacy stalking, intimacy seeking stalking, and information gathering stalkers. And I have used only their conversation with the victims. And here is one of the strategies they have used in this strategy called as camouflaging. It's used in all these three stalkers have used this kind of deceiving strategy. It is a deceptive strategy used to conceal or manipulate or disguise the information. Whatever they are trying to give as an information, they try to conceal it. So within that, a technique called as euphemism is used that involves substituting mild or indirect expressions for harsh or offensive ones. It allows individuals to disguise unpleasant or sensitive information. For example, this example has been taken from a sexual intimacy seeker and a stalker. That is, he's a teacher who is stalking his girl student. So that the stalker gives all the examples are in Tamil. So please bear with me, and I have given the what meaning also. The gloss also I have given over here. நீ இப்போ லாஸ்ட் செமஸ்டர்ல இருக்க நட்பு வளர்க்கறதுக்கு தான். So the phrase நட்பு வளர்க்கறதுக்கு தான், நட்பு is friendship. So to build. So the possible meaning of these phrases can be taken as, I've given few over here. It can mean so many other things too. That is to get closer to each other, to understand each other better, to take the friendship to the next level, to become intimately close. So when you get into this context or the discourse, you see that in the previous messages and the messages later, we can come to a conclusion that this phrase means that he wants to become intimately close. That is what he tries to deceive over here, or he tries to conceal. And here is another stalker's message. எதையும் கண்டுக்க மாட்டேங்கிறீங்களே ஏன்? That is why you are not giving any attention mainly to me. That is the possible meaning over here is not caring about anything, not giving attention, being negligent, not doing any favor to me even after knowing what I want. That is the main meaning of that sentence. That is, they are talking, and in the previous messages he would be saying that I need something from you, you have to do this for me, you have to do that for me, all the things he will be saying. But the victim, she doesn't care about what he's trying to say, and she always says that I am not understanding what you are saying. So he's saying that எதுவுமே கண்டுக்க மாட்டேங்கிறீங்களே, you know what I want, you have to do me some favor out of it. So the next example is, this is another stalker's way of messaging. பார்க்கணுங்களே, பார்த்து நேர்ல பேசுனா அது ஒரு மாதிரி இதுவா இருக்கும். போன்ல பேசுறதுக்கும் நேர்ல பேசுறதுக்கும் வித்தியாசம் இருக்கும்ல. Here the phrase இதுவா இருக்கும், what does it mean? It gives so many meaning. இதுவா இருக்கும்னா எதுவா இருக்கும். There are so many meaning we can get from that. But in this discourse we can say that the feel would be pleasurable. That is what he tries to mean. When you go in person, it will be different, and when you talk in phone, it will be different. That is what he's trying to mean. And iduva irukkum, he likes to feel that pleasure when you are in person. And words, some of the words like these, like sila vishayangal, that is few things. Sila vishayangal, it can be used in so many contexts. But when it is coming, when we are talking about stalking, sila vishayangal will mean so many other things. And according to the context, we can predict the meaning also over there. And college students வந்து அவங்க எதிர்பார்க்குறாங்க, what they are எதிர்பார்க்குறாங்க, what they are expecting. They are expecting something from the college students. That's what they are saying. And adjust பண்ணிக்கணும். Adjust itself, we nowadays we know that what it means. Adjust பண்ணிக்கணும், it can be changed into any kind of meaning, but in the conversation, when we are applying the conversational analysis, we can say that what kind of meaning this words or phrases give. So here, as I talked about, euphemism is one of the tactics or techniques of camouflaging. This is another tactic which is being used by the stalkers. That is distraction, where the language is used to divert the attention away from the main topic or issue at hand. This can involve introducing unrelated or tangential information to shift the focus away from the topic of discussion. That is, the stalker, the victim, when they ask more questions of why you are talking like that or what exactly you want, when they are not able to, or when the stalker is not able to reveal what actually they want, and when they are trying to conceal certain things, they try to change the topic and try to go the roundabout way again to achieve their goal. So here's the first this case is of the same example which I gave in the first example, that is the student and the teacher, where the stalker when he when he says that he is asking the girl to come to his home. So when the girl asks why I should come over there, and she repeatedly she asks why I should come to your home, please tell me sir why I should come over there. Then he suddenly he changes. Serima innor vishayam, and one more thing. எனக்கு இந்த டயஸ்போரிக் லிட்ரேச்சர் இருக்குல்ல, அந்த கிளாஸ் எடுக்கிறேன்ல நான், he's trying to change the topic now. He's trying to change the topic, and the next sentences or the next conversations, what is happening over there is, he says that in the diasporic literature, I would like to get some kind of notes about diasporic literature, where he says that there is a website called as Wikipedia. Can you just go to that and search and get me some printouts about this topic? So again, he is asking her to get the printout and come home, so that he's roundabout, he's again coming to his point of view, where he wants her to come to his home. So this is another distractive technique or camouflage technique used by the stalker. This is a very much interesting one. Humor. How can humor be a deceptive technique? How can this be used as a deceptive technique? It is really a beautiful one which we can think about whether humor can be used as a deceptive technique. It can be positive impact conversation by making it enjoyable. It helps to build rapport with others. It can also be used to diffuse tension or make a difficult conversation more manageable, as humor can make a message more memorable and compelling. It can be used as a strategy for grabbing attention. So here you can see that it builds the rapport, as well as it decreases the tension when there is some kind of difficult conversation that is happening, like the previous example which I gave. At the time, if he makes some kind of humorous statements, the tension will be reduced. So they try to forget the other things and they only talk about the humor over there. So these type of things can also be used as a camouflaging technique to deceive the victim. So here's one more example. stalker is saying, hey, இந்த பட்டு saree ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கு. The silk saree is very beautiful. The victim says, அது பட்டு saree இல்லடா. It is not a silk saree, she says. The stalker says, எனக்கு என்னைக்கு உன் மேல பட்டுச்சோ அப்போல இருந்து அது பட்டு saree ஆயிடுச்சு. When it is touched, it became a silk saree. In Tamil, you know that pattu it is a homophonious thing, that pattu is silk as well as to touch. So he uses this word play as a strategy to make the victim um, feel good, or to enjoy the attention and to grab attention and to create a rapport between them. And moreover, the humor always builds trust between the stalker and the victim. That's the reason why stalkers use more humor than any other deceivers. So here is another example. நீ என்ன சந்தனமா, that is, or your sandal paste. இல்ல உன்னை உடம்புல பூசிக்கணும் போல இருக்கு. Like feeling to apply the sandal in my body, on my body. It can be a negative statement, but because it is being used as a humor, the girl or the victim doesn't feel that much offended by this statement. So here also the tension, or it grabs the attention of the victim, and they laugh together, and the rapport builds, and the trust builds, and the conversation takes place, and they will become much closer, and the stalker can achieve whatever they are trying to achieve through it. These are some of the techniques of camouflaging strategy. And here is another strategy, that is persuasion, a strategy intended to influence the attitudes, beliefs, or behavior of an audience through the strategic use of language. And within this strategy, we have found out certain techniques which is being used, that is emotional appeal, which is a type of persuasion that refers to use of emotions and feelings to influence an audience. It is designed to evoke specific emotional response that can enhance persuasive impact of a message. Here the stalker says the same the same student and the teachers. This is the same case. அதாம்மா இல்லம்மா, நட்பு வளர்க்கறதுக்கு நம்ம சாதிக்கார பொண்ணா அதான் கேட்டேன். That is, he is now emotionally appealing her that, and saying that she belongs to the same caste or community of that person. So he tries to put the community over there, and appeal and emotional appeal is being put over there. This is one kind of emotional thing. And another another example is, ஒன்னும் பயப்படாத பாப்பா, நான் உன்னை பார்த்துக்கிறேன் வா. Don't be scared, I'll take care of you, you come over here. This is also an emotional appeal. That is, he emotionally says that you don't have to worry about anything. So I will take care of anything that happens. If there is any kind of problem, I'll face it. That is what he's giving some kind of assurance over there. Emotionally, he is giving some kind of assurance. So this is a persuasive technique which is employed by the stalkers. And again, this is another strategy in persuasion, that is giving assurance. Persuasion refers to the providing confidence, certainty, or a sense of security to the audience in order to increase their receptiveness to a message, or to influence their attitude or behavior. It involves offering reassurance, guarantees, or evidence to address doubts and elevate concerns, or to build trust. When someone gives you some kind of assurance, certainly it builds trust. This is another case where this is a very infamous case, I would say. where a teacher is trying to stalk their students, four girl students, and she's trying to convince them to have some sexual favors to their higher officials. உங்களுடைய அகாடமிக் சைடையும் எல்லாம் பெரிய லெவல்ல கொண்டு போக முடியும், வித்தவுட் எனி டிஃபிகல்ட்டி அஷ்யூர் பண்ண முடியும். She's saying that the academic side I can bring it to a bigger level, and that too without any kind of difficulties, and I will assure you that this will happen. So there is an assurance. This is also a kind of persuading, saying that if you do whatever I say, I'll take care of the academic side. The next example is from another stalking case, that is adjustment ஒரு 1 hour adjustment பண்ணிக்குங்க. So this is about a police officer, and the victim is a person who has come to give a complaint, and he tries to stalk her, and he says that whatever, if you adjust with me for 1 hour, I'll do whatever necessary things you need. This is what the situation over there. In the conversation, that is what will happen over there. And this is another strategy that is being used, that is threat. Threat refers to the use of language to convey the intent or claim that imply harm, danger, or unfavorable outcomes. It entails warning someone or something about the risk or potential harm. So there are two types of things that happens over there: a direct threat and an indirect threat. And direct threat is, this is a tactic of the strategy. A direct threat entails the statement of damaging or negative outcome if particular conditions are not met with. It is often delivered in a direct and authoritative manner, leaving no room for doubt regarding the results. Here, as I said, that the teacher and the student, சரி விடு, வர வேண்டாம், நான் பார்த்துக்கிறேன், டிசி ரெடியா இருக்கும், பார்த்துக்கிறேன். So there's a direct threat over here, that's saying that TC will be ready if you do not accept to my conditions. If you do not come, and if you do not give me the favor which I am asking, your TC will be ready. So this is a direct threat. And next one is indirect threat. An indirect threat implies a negative outcome without stating it outright. And the indirect threat rely on the listener's action to grasp the true nature of upcoming danger. That is, the victims will come to know that there is some kind of danger if I do not do, or if I do not agree to their favors. So here the teacher who trying to stalk the four students, இப்போ இன்னைக்கு தேதி வந்து 15, இன்னும் 1.5 மாசம் தான் இப்போ ப்ராக்டிகல்ஸ் வந்து முடிஞ்சிடும். என்ன சொல்றாங்க ப்ராக்டிகல்ஸ் உங்களுக்கு? That is, she is asking about the practical exams, that there is only 1.5 months left for your practical exams, and if you do not agree, your marks will be reduced or you will be failed in the practical exams. And the next statement, what she says, that in the next conversation, if you do not agree, if you agree, I can even get you good marks, or I won't let the other teachers put hand on your theory papers too. I'll make sure that they won't put, or they won't fail you. This is also an indirect threat she's making to the students. So here is another strategy which is being used: phishing. This is mainly employed in order to induce the individual to reveal their personal information. To collect the information, they will be phishing. It is just like the fishing technique which we do to catch fish. Like, you will be putting the bait over there and you will try to fish. ஓகே குட், வெரி குட். இப்போ வேற வீட்டில் பெரியவங்க யாரும் இருக்காங்களா? That the stalker is asking whether someone is there in the house, so that if no one is there, he can go over there. யாரும் இல்லையா? சரி, ஓகே. He's saying, okay, யாரும், he got the information that no one is there, no elders are there in the house. So he tries to say that, when should I come? Or in the next line you can say, இங்க யாரும் இல்லையா? சரி, நான் அப்போ ஒரு 12 மணி போல வரட்டா? So the next conversation is, so he's asking, when should I come over there? And they are trying to get the information by saying or by asking, இங்க யாரும் இல்ல. So the answer will be, yes, they have gone somewhere. Or if someone is there, they will certainly say that, இல்ல, அப்பா அம்மா இங்க தான் இருக்காங்க. They are there here. My parents are here itself. These answers will be there, and they try to collect the information about the victims. And this is about the some of the strategies, and we can also find more strategies employed over here by the stalkers. And I have given only few over here. So next is something about the characteristics. What are the linguistic characteristics these people uses? And I have found out certain characteristics over here. That is abstraction. The abstraction involves identifying and generalizing the meaning and conceptual categories of words and expressions. It focuses on understanding the underlying principles that govern the relationship between words and their reference or the meaning. It depends on the contextual base. ஸோ நட்பு வளர்க்கறதுக்கு தான் சில விஷயங்கள், அட்ஜஸ்ட்மெண்ட், என்ஜாய். ஸோ ஆல் தீஸ் ஆர் அப்ஸ்ட்ராக்ஷன்ஸ். நான் உனக்கு என்ன சொல்ற, என்ன குறை வச்சேன், நீ பாஸ்டர் கிட்ட தான் போற. Here the போற word refers so many meaning. It gives so much of meaning that he's saying that what kind of why you are going to the pastor. So there the meaning gives that in the context of this conversation, he's trying to get some kind of information, and he's trying to ask his fiancée that whether whether she has an intimate relationship with the pastor. So he is asking, enna kura vache? Why you are going to the pastor? So pora over here means why you are going and having an intimate relationship with the pastor. That's the reason why here, but he's just putting a fishing type of a strategy where the victim is expecting that the victim would say that I didn't go for these type of things, but I went for something else. And this is what he is trying to get the information out of. And as I talked about the luring techniques, here is another strategy, or it's not strategy, characteristics of deceiving. So luring typically involves a deceptive technique aimed at gaining or persuading the trust or interest of the target. This can include creating fake personnel, using false information, or presenting inciting offers or opportunities. நான் காசு கொடுக்குறேன். So they are luring with money. மந்த்லி நான் சேலரி கொடுக்குற மாதிரி உங்கள் வீட்டுக்கு அமௌண்ட் வந்துடும். As if he is sending a monthly salary to her, it will reach her home. That's what the stalker is trying to say. உங்களுக்கு எந்த ஒரு ஹெல்ப் பண்ணாலும் அதை இது நான் பார்த்துக்கிறேன். Whatever help you need, I'll do it for you. You don't have to worry about it. And here is another luring from the victim and the stalker. Here it is a phrase which we usually say, or it can be used as a humor also. உடம்பு எப்படி இருக்கு? We can use it as a humor, where it can be a threatening one, or it's a threatening tone, or a humorous way. That is, how is the body or the health? So the stalker says, "நீதான் காட்டவே இல்லையே. You didn't show it to me till now." This is also some kind of luring, humorous type of luring over here is happening. So this is a small flow chart of the deceptive strategies and the linguistic characteristics of the stalkers, of these three types of stalkers, that is sexual intimacy stalkers, intimacy seekers, and information gatherers. So here, as I said, camouflaging, uh, persuasion, threat, and phishing are the strategies. And within that strategies, these are the techniques which has been employed by the stalkers: euphemism, distraction, and in persuasion, it is emotional appeal, assurance, anecdotal, convincing, generalization, and claim. And threat, it is direct threat and indirect threat. And phishing, it is direct questions. And in linguistic characteristics, we can see abstractions, luring, hesitation disfluencies. Within hesitation disfluencies, there are so many things that has to be. I haven't given some examples for that because of the time. Uh, I haven't given over here. So as an end note, I can say that these examples were taken from three different types of stalker, as I said before. That is sexual predatory stalking, intimacy seeking stalking, and information gatherers. They make use of deceptive strategies to deceive the victims and make them fall into their trap. Even if the stalkers communicated their purpose, the camouflage techniques helped them in concealing it. And persuasion technique helped in convincing the victim, as well as threat was made to control over the victim. And the use of emotional appeal by the stalkers helped them to approach the victim closer in order to develop the conversation and to achieve their desired goal. So these deceptive strategies are not only confined to stalking, but it can also be extended to other contexts too. So this is whatever strategies I have talked today. It does. I have taken examples only from the stalking examples, but this can also be extended to the other contexts where people try to deceive other people, and we can accordingly we can name what kind of technique or strategy. I would like to stop my talk. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Sir?
Dr. Vijayan, I am Ravi Shankar here.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Sir. My question is, shouldn't we make a distinction between, deception within a legal situation and deception in an ordinary conversation? Like, let's say, the example that you have given, like a boy telling a girl that when you touched that this has become silk, the sari has become silk. This is something any lover would have told his beloved. There is no deception involved in the sense that the girl doesn't think that the sari has become silk, but she gets the intended meaning that he thinks very highly of her. But deception is when a person, especially in the social media or in the cyber world, uh, a old man acts as a young boy and stalks a girl. She thinks that this is a young boy and maybe that they have an affair and thinks that she can marry. Then there is a deception involved. Here, this is a discourse where like people say things which are implications which are understood as such. Now, the legal implication of deception is that when you say something like hide your identity, or you make a person give bank account or details of bank accounts, such things are deception. So shouldn't we draw a distinction here Because these are type of sentences like, a boy or a girl in love would always try to impress the other person and say a lot of things
Yes, sir.
which are implied. And you don't, there is no serious in a forensic viewpoint, there is no deception involved in these cases. You are just trying to, you get the implied meaning in all these examples. The problem is that you understand the implied meaning. Like a boy is asking a girl, are your parents around? If they are not there, I will come over. There is no deception because the girl fully understands. She doesn't think that, he is coming to sing a song for her. So in
Yes,
that sense,
sir.
there is no deception.
No, but
I would like your comments here.
yes, sir.
Thank you.
Uh, Thank you so much for this question, sir. Actually, whatever you said is correct. That we have to have some kind of demarcation between these two. But in these cases, there is a legal implication, or a case has been filed after these things. So that if you see that about the silk sari, it is not at that point it is a deceptive one. But when you talk about the whole conversation and the end goal of that stalker, what he's trying to do, there it becomes a strategy to convince this victim to fall into his trap. So that is what my point over here is, that these type of strategies is being used to deceive and to achieve their end goal, which is a sexual intimacy or an intimacy seeking. So these type of humor are being used for their end goal, not at that point of a thing it is a deceptive one. So always when a boy tries to impress a girl, they use this type of um, or strategies. But when it becomes a case, the court, then it becomes a strategy of deceiving. So this can be considered as a strategy or a technique to deceive her, and he has deceived using these things. As well as you said that how to demarcate. Yes, as I said that some of the things, even the lovers can also be talking these type of things, but at the end what happens is what we'll be considering, whether how you can take this as an evidence into the court of law. And as I said, only a deception can be a negative one only when there is some kind of legal implications, or else we can just take it as a talk between two lovers. I hope I have answered your question, sir. I'm not sure whether I cleared it. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Aishwarya.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Actually, I would like to ask a question. So I don't know whether it is blunder or not. Just want to know that you talked about some of the tests that we used to find detecting deception. So can we use hypnotism as a mode for detecting deception? If not, then why?
Sorry, I didn't get it.
Did hypnotism. I mean, you talked about some kind of test that we used to find out detecting deception. So, can hypnotism is can be considered as a mode for finding out this kind of deception? If not, then why?
See, all this tests, as I said, that it violates the fundamental rights of a person. So hypnotism is also, if it is a technique used to identify without the consent of the accused, you cannot do it.
Okay.
So if the person
So,
gives,
with consent, we can use that.
yeah, certainly, all these tests can also be used with the concern of that person.
Okay.
But you cannot use that as an evidence in the court. Only to get some kind of information and to proceed further in the investigation, you can use these tests because it purely violates the fundamental rights of a person. So that is the reason.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Vijayan. We have been listening to you, and really it was very interesting to listen to you. And from the perspective of forensic linguistics, and from the perspective of even the civilization that we have, definitely this was throwing some insights into how people can be deceived easily. It is giving a message to the society, and as well as it is giving a message to the linguists that this type of language is there, applied, and everyone should be cautious about this. In the field of cybercrime and in the field of cyber communication, we have so many instances of this sort whereby people are praised for so many things and later on they are deceived really. So definitely it was an insightful lecture that you have delivered on this. On behalf of ISDL, we thank you very much. We extend our gratitude to you for your kind presentation of this one, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
And with this, we come to the end of this session, and now we will go for the valedictory function after a short break. So thank you, Dr. Vijayan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Is there any question?
Any question from online audience? Sir, question?
Yeah, can I ask one more question? Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have a question?
Yes, sir, I have one small question. Okay, sir. Sir, it is I think you talked wonderfully that the very elaborate session. I heard about, sir. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. Please,
Okay,
please.
okay. It's a very nice lecture. It's a very elaborate to the discussions. I have this many areas both for and poetically it's a humor sense. For example, the pattu, we say some any other class we saw about the pattadai. Ponnadai, something like this we can make it anything in the poetic sense. The class with some other the humor sense also attached with this the word. நீ கட்டினா தீபா நீ கட்டினா பட்டு போடுவேன் ordinary sorry something has some humor sense maybe something in the poetic sense yeah this is the pattu sari something needs to deep or something the sound we can what is a humorous size we have give this a particular word the emphasize also there we have to segregate maybe the what is called you can split the vocabulary maybe this is for deception or this is for humor poetics very complicated one I think what how do you are maybe in the classification of the these are the criminal activities, these are the other activities. Any classifications?
No, sir. We have not classified anything like that. But the thing is that, as even Ravi Shankar sir asked, the end of the conversation, what is the goal of that stalker? Or when it becomes a case, and when we take the conversation and when we conversation between the stalker and the victim, and when the victim gives a case upon that stalker, then only we can come to a conclusion humor whether that humor can be used as a strategy, whether that person has used it as a strategy, or whether he has really tried to impress, and whether that person has really tried to have only a good sense of relationship, or whether it is an intimacy seeking or sexual predatory or something else like that. Then only we can come to a conclusion and we can say that this is a strategy or not, or else it can just be a normal conversation.
Yeah, normal it's poetic sense, always very interesting area this one.
Yes, sir, but it is too difficult, as you said, as well as Ravi Shankar said, there's a small demarcation which we have to we have to deal with. So we have to be much careful about giving it as an evidence.
Yeah, yes. We don't have vocabulary classified. This is for criminal activities. some set of vocabulary. We don't, I think, for example, we say sentiment analysis of feelings vocabulary. Like this, any classification for these vocabulary for criminal activities or criminal.
No, no, sir. We have to work more on it. We are working on deception, so we have to work more on it, and we have to classify those things, as you said.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for the lecture. Thank you for your.
Thank you so much, sir.
Now it is 4 p.m., so I don't mind to have any sort of adjust as chairman of the center. Here we have Dr. Vijayan Krishna, and there is no need for having any introduction of sorts. When this particular symposium be flat, the current trends in linguistics. Naturally, from Kerala, we can have only 2 or 3 people who can advance the reactions. And so, we did get contact. The first person who said we made the contact is person and so I believe anyway, I don't want to go into detail. And the problem we want to hear, so I invite Dr. Vijayan Krishna this one of these things. Distinguished academicians and dear friends. For the past 2 days, we have been discussing certain tremendous linguistic research, and we will now come to the final session of this seminar. We are discussing research at a time when ChatGPT can do a lot of your research for you. So ChatGPT can write a research proposal for you. In fact, one professor told me that he asked 4 students to write a research proposal, and on the same topic, he asked ChatGPT to write a research proposal. ChatGPT gave a better research proposal than the 4 students. So this is the situation. In fact, we are especially concerned with ChatGPT because not just he said this is within high level pages, something that we have been discussing. So our concept of research, our modes of research, always activities, as someone who did my research 30 years back, and at that time, I look back at research. So I will start with the small anecdote, which was from the year 1995 or 96, when I was working in IST. At that time, I had a chance meeting with the then Vice Chancellor of Derby University of UK. His name was Roger Waterhouse. So we had a long conversation. Actually, I was talking, he was asking me a lot of questions about Kerala. One and a half hours we talked. When we wanted, he gave me his visiting card. One day he struck me. His name was written Roger Waterhouse, MLA. So at the time, I was the PhD holder. And I knew that he was a professor of philosophy of the university. I asked him, did you not take a PhD? How did you become a professor of philosophy? So he said something very interesting. He told me, I decided that rather than writing a thesis, which would remain in the library shelves and nobody would read, I decided to write a book. And based on my book,
They have appointed me as Professor of Philosophy, and even my selection as a VC was based on that. So I remember this years later. I made a search for this student. It was very important and very fast. And the book, which is a criticism of philosophy of Vijayan character, is considered to be a modern classic in British philosophy. So our concept of research, what we are doing, is we are doing something it's quite possible. You begin to, because I don't know, maybe you may not know. I am someone who has a hobby of reading research, PhD, especially for Canada. And I'm very American about it. So sometimes we are shocked by the concept of research that research scholars and even senior teachers will have. What are you doing? Why do we do research? People often, get into studying contemporary styles, now somebody mentions the name forensic linguistics, people are immediately attracted. I have actually taught a course in Central University, an optional course. But my very idea is that people should pick it up and develop young students. But there is always one problem, which maybe takes some time for people to understand. See, understanding something like forensic linguistics or cognitive linguistics, that's not the difficult part of being a linguist. What is going to help you to become a linguist is not your understanding of forensic linguistics, but your understanding of basic linguistics. If you cannot do morphological analysis or syntactic analysis or phonetic analysis, so in whichever field you lack, you are not going to make it up. You will end up saying very trivial things. So you basic personality as a linguist. That comes from a passion for very basic linguistics. So this is something which we find or we see lacking in students. Why should this happen? This is a question which has puzzled me for many years now. Now, it's not just the paradigms of research are changing, but there are other changes which are happening in the world of research. Because we are discussing paradigms in linguistics, in linguistic research also. See, one experience which I had, I was doing a dissertation on Manaveda language long back, and the data was collected to Bangalore, from a place near Vijayan. The analysis, I went to my teacher with the analysis. There was a particular model which I couldn't provide an analysis. I will exactly remember this form. This is the related cases. So when I went about this, one form which I couldn't expect. I talked to my senior students, some scholars and all that. They were good to me. So finally, I went to my supervising teacher. So he kept with him for a few days, and then he told me to just leave that from your analysis. I was very happy. I just left it and they will come finish my analysis. So at that time, I didn't realize what I was doing. Now, when I was studying research ethics and the lecture of research ethics, I understand that it is something which is now called falsification or tampering with data. So there are certain things called research misconduct, misconduct, systematication, creating data without actually gathering data. Second is tampering with data. Look at plagiarism. There is also something called bibliometric inflation, which many people do now. It's like you write your thesis. At the end of it, there is a bibliography. Your teacher thinks that it's not very interesting. So he or she may tell you, you just have some more studies. There are only 20 studies. So you have to do a lot of this. It's called bibliometric inflation. So at that time, it was just routine. People tell you just add 10 studies. You haven't seen those studies. Just take it there. It's called bibliometric inflation. Now, the type of falsification that I made, I could understand it only much later. When I had another shot at field work and I tried to collect data from Malayalam, I understood none of those people are speaking that language. All of them are speaking Malayalam. So, what should have been the ideal course for me? I should have left it there and said that this is inexplainable. Someone better than me would have explained it. Second aspect of it, I didn't care to preserve that data because the concept in those days that once you collect data, it's yours. You don't share it with anyone unless he is the friend. Then it's in a tape and it just gets destroyed. But now the concept has remarkably changed. The data belongs to the society. It's not just that it's your personal report. The data should be kept somewhere where it is accessible to others. People should be able to verify what you have because this comes from science. So the idea of experimental science, you describe it in such a way, another person can repeat that experiment and get the same result. This is very important in science. So the same concept now applies. There are many other things which have changed, but we haven't caught up with those things. Like we would submit our cases in those times, supervisors would tell you. Now, you publish each chapter as a research paper. Now, whenever you went to Yemen, I was teaching there. So their process of promotion for teachers, if somebody in my department applies for a promotion, the first thing that they do is they send a letter to the department, the same department, and ask all the other teachers to go through the publication of this teacher. And you have all of them have to sit together and get a certification. None of these people during the period of promotion. The period is considered for promotion, not significantly drawn from this PhD. See, the concept, the logic, is that you are being appointed as a assistant also because you have a PhD. So you have been given a credit for your PhD. Now you have been given a credit for the same thing again. So this is actually something new. So we don't look at research in that angle even now. So now the concept of research has changed, or the concept of research ethics has changed. How do we do research? What is the research? Particularly see this ChatGPT. This is something which is very unusual. And somebody said, is it something, is it a type of plagiarism? So if a student can write a better research proposal, I mean, ChatGPT can write a better research proposal than a student. What is happening there? So how can we train students now to write a research proposal? Would students go to ChatGPT and get a research proposal written? There are many such questions when you look at research and what's happening in such methodology. The concept of research, how we solve in those things. So, for example, the research ethics. In those days, when I was a student, even in humanities, never spoke about research ethics. Like maybe in the department of psychology, when I was in universities on literature and all that, it is a concept of research. But now, when we have first, or we understand that, in linguistics or literary studies, all there are concepts of research and things. For example, you are doing field work, and when you do field work, see, you go to a tribal area to get data from the person. Why did we give you data? We give you data because of the perceived hegemonic, or let us say, you come from a elite class, and someone wear pants and shoes and all that. Also, that person doesn't want to give you data, doesn't want to give you the time. He's least interested in your work. And let's understand, he doesn't get anything while giving you data. It's only you who benefits. You get data, you publish a paper, you get a promotion, or your PhD is something. It doesn't make sense. If you look at research, so much research content from the world in different universities. We can do that. How to appropriate data. How to treat him in a humane way. And it also serves very importantly that you have to compensate him. It's not that you buy data, but see that he goes to work, he gets 600 or 800 rupees per day. At least that you are bound to give him to compensate. It's not that we should give him 3,000 rupees. So these concepts are vastly changing. And how we respond to this world. Also, if you look at what is happening in the world, around the world, this is why, subjects like, forensic linguistics or some such, let me say, fringe areas where different subjects combine and you have a new subject. People are always attracted to the police personnel saying, why don't you give us a training and all that. But my experience is that such subjects always weaken core linguistics. For example, do we have a proper history of Malayalam written? Who should write that? No, even now, most of what is written about Malayalam has been done by non-linguists. Of course, the distinction of who is a linguist and who is not a linguist, it's not that clear. It's not that necessary that we should have any linguists, simple linguists. So, we are, of course, we are this, we cannot imagine the linguists. But what is happening in linguistics? Why are students studying linguistics, but core linguistics gets weakened? This is a question that we have to ask. So very often, like there was a discussion that people from other faculties teach subjects like cognitive linguistics or neurolinguistics and such things, and they don't have a linguist to teach those things. So first of all, as a student in the sense not someone engaged in or studying for their opinion, but someone who works in linguistics. Our idea, our aim is to make the society understand that this subject has some value. Very often, we do not think, other than what we require to get a degree, to get a PhD or MA. But more than that, what's your possible contribution to linguistics? So we are fortunate to have seen such teachers around that. So I remember Dr. Vijayan, who I don't know whether now it's very difficult for people to believe that he has done people work in the Dravidian languages, Indo-Aryan languages, Tibeto-Burman languages, Munda languages, all language communities in India. And you ask him about, he gives examples alone for 10 minutes. Because examples come from all these languages, all these languages. Now, that kind of understanding of core linguistics, that kind of passion for linguistics, when that goes down, there is no point in being modern by saying that I'm a computational linguist, I'm a forensic linguist. The whatever field that you are going to work, the core competencies will fully help you. Other than that, nothing suffices. This is something that students have to understand and practice. This is the business that I have for young students. So when we want to so we like this. It's not just listening to a seminar and grasping some ideas, but we grow into the culture of linguistics. How linguists think, how they because some when I was here and I was helping in editing the Vijayan encyclopedia, there was an article by M.B. some Sanskrit words in Vijayan words in passage, in which I got it after many years after he wrote it. It was typed maybe his old typewriter. And there is one word which Velam, which was considered to be Dravidian, comes from Valedictory, from older style. And he says, this is not Dravidian. I had the rash, because I was young, I had the rash or temerity to write a letter to him and asking him, why do you say so? And I'm so humble to tell you that he wrote a reply. So, such a great man, he wrote a reply and he said, there are some reflexes of this in some very lesser known Indo-Aryan language, Indo-European. So, that kind of humbleness comes from academic readiness of him. Because I'm just nobody. He doesn't have to answer me. But that very man, took some time, the letter will be still in the library. I have kept it here. So that passion, that concern, that interest, probably he wrote a letter to me because he thought that I also belong to the linguistic fraternity. So that kind of concern, I will feel that by interaction. In those times, it was always face-to-face interaction. Now we don't know whether online interactions can work like that. And also the concern and passion for linguistics. And I heard such endeavors being taken forward by the Linguistics Association and ICL will help in cultivating students in the right track, and that they can come with some significant contributions to linguistics future. I would like to congratulate all the organizers and all the faculty and other staff of ISBL for working round the clock to make this seminar happen and to bring all of us together. Thank you very much, and thank you all for inviting me to take part in this seminar and for delivering this valedictory. And thank you very much. At least part of our intention is satisfied or fulfilled or achieved through this. Session started with the inaugural session, and I was there. Professor Srinath was there, and we had a host of others such as Professor Srishanawas, Professor Shaman, this is one of the important of things. So this presentation was very similar to style. The other leading ladies the second discussion we had was considered my on the usage and coordinate of dialogues in Tamil and Malayalam media. It was followed by conference in Malayalam by Dr. Shanawaz, and we had conference in communication based related to Malayalam by Maheshwar and the development of Vijayan, so we honor the session. And we have the planetary function here, the wonderful address by Dr. Vijayan. He told us what should be the purpose of this seminar like this, Symposium like this. What should be delivered? What should be gained from this? And how should be enriched with the information that we have? And what the methodology of study, how also approach and how can and the communities of the very knowledge about it, the basic things, what the structural and the heavy words. Understanding the fundamentals of the system, so this is one of so this is the topic that we have selected for this current trends in linguistics. We know that like any other discipline, linguistics is also progressing in many fields. But a lot of diversity has taken place in the method of study, in the method of the application of concept, and how it should be made use of for the people, for the public, or for the community, or for the country or nation, for which it is needed. Unless we make it very useful to them, or the result any of the result is not benefit at all. This is collectively a data and keeping it in the library or keeping it in the house, we are burning it out or storing it in some other place. So when we make it useful for the society, for the academic world, or for the world that is limited, it has meaning. So that is the basic thing that we should learn from our lecturers like this. My duty is to express our gratitude, all of those who presented the purpose, all the people who supported us in various ways for the college people. So I would want to maybe anybody in particular, to all the scholars, the day scholars who contributed for the success of this seminar. We are indebted, we are much grateful, we are express our heartfelt thanks to them all. and for organizing this one. All the credit goes to Professor G.K. Panikar sir, and he has been instrumental in organizing this seminar, though in a short notice. And with our faculty members here, with all the scholars, with the support of the orchestra, and everybody to make it, I think, a successful lecture. We are thankful to each and everyone who supported us in various ways. Thank you. Thank you.
The meeting is over.